$22.50. That's the Venmo request you never got around to deleting. Brunch from Marcus, sent 4 years ago, still sitting there unpaid in a tab you never open anymore. Funny thing is, you did pay it. Same day, actually, without checking your balance first. Because back then, there was nothing much to check. You, Marcus, and 3 other people from the same dorm hallway were all within a couple $100s of each other. Same rent, same ramen, same overdraft alerts nobody screenshotted for laughs yet because it wasn't funny yet. If somebody had made you all bet that year on which one of you would end up with real money, you wouldn't have picked yourself. You're pretty sure nobody would have. Marcus is the one people bet on. Warm, funny, remembers your coffee order before you finished ordering it. Walk into a party with Marcus and watch. Half the room finds a reason to drift his way within 10 minutes. You are 23. First paycheck lands at $2,850 after tax, and you stare at it a beat too long, like it's more than it is. Marcus's first check was close to that. So was everybody's. A few $100s of difference between 5 people is basically no difference at all. Here's what nobody mentions about ending up wealthier than the friends you started with. There's no financial gap on day one. There's a decision gap, and decisions are quiet by nature. They don't post to the group chat. They don't show up in a photo. They just happen once, privately, and then keep happening on autopilot for the next 20 years, whether you consciously remember choosing them or not. Yours happens on a Thursday, cross-legged on your apartment floor, phone in hand, running a compound interest calculator somebody linked in a comment section you can't remember scrolling to. $400 a month, 8%, starting immediately. You drag the slider out to age 45, and the total makes you stop breathing for a second. So you do the standard first move. Assume it's glitching. Run it again. Same number. You mess with it for another 20 minutes, nudging the contribution up, moving the start date earlier, watching how violently the ending shifts for such small changes at the front end. Then you just sit with it. You don't text anyone. You open a brokerage account before bed and fund it with $250. That $250 is the first money you've ever had that wasn't a receipt for an hour you already gave away. Marcus spends his Thursday exactly the way Marcus spends every Thursday, and there's genuinely nothing wrong with it. That's the part underneath this whole thing that matters most. He didn't do anything wrong. He just wasn't sitting cross-legged on a floor that night doing arithmetic nobody asked him to do. You're 26. There's a gap between you two now, technically, but it exists in exactly one location, a login screen he's never seen the inside of. Out in the world, nothing's changed. Same jeans, same taco order, same 11 p.m. chaos in the group chat. Then Marcus gets a bump at work and buys a boat. $58,000, financed across 6 years, and it is a genuinely stunning boat, and he is genuinely thrilled standing on the dock next to it. And by the time he's home from the marina, the number attached to his name has gone down, not up. Your number moved the other direction that same month, off a raise about the same size as his, mostly because you didn't upgrade a single thing to match it. Rent ticks up $95 at renewal. That's the one visible change in your entire year. You're still driving the car with the sun-faded hood. Your friends have started a running bit about you being the cheap one, and you let the bit run because unwinding it out loud would require language you haven't built yet. You're putting away 31% of what comes in. What's left of theirs mostly goes towards slip fees, minimum payments, and a lease none of them love as much as they thought they would. You buy the same 2 index funds on the same date every month, and then you close the app. No checking in between, no trading on a feeling. Your account clears $45,000, and you don't mention it to a single person. There's nothing to say out loud about a number on a screen. It's not the kind of thing that lands at a bar. Priya's the other outlier in the group. Priya wants it fast and wants an audience for it. She's the one blowing up the chat at 1 a.m. about a pre-sale that's basically a lock, a candle line that just needs one more ad spend push to finally turn a corner, a flip that's about to make the whole cruise year. For about 10 months, Priya looks like she's lapping everyone, you included. She's posting screenshots. You're posting nothing. Then the pre-sale rugs. The candle brand's one more push turns into 3 more. Then a for-sale listing on the equipment. Priya goes unusually quiet in the thread for a while. You keep buying the same 2 funds on the same date. It was never that Priya lacked guts. She had more nerve than you on your best day. What she didn't have was the stomach for a payoff that shows up in decades instead of headlines. You're 29 and it's Marcus's 30th, and the whole crew books a resort none of you can really justify. Comes out to $4,200 a head once it's split, most of it going on cards that are still carrying balances a year later. You go. You could quietly pay for the entire trip and not feel your month shift at all. You don't say that. You order off the middle of the menu and let everyone assume it's because you're pinching pennies, which, sure, technically you are. The group chat's changed texture by now. It used to be logistics. Now it's about money without ever using the word. Someone floats a weekend trip and the thread just dies once a number gets attached to it. A flight comes up and somebody drops out with a broke joke that's not really a joke. You start quietly absorbing small costs. Splitting 3 ways when it should have been 5. Booking the extra room so nobody has to do mental math out loud at the front desk. It's easier than sitting there watching someone run numbers you stopped needing to run a long time ago. Nobody's picked up on the pattern. Keeping it that way has become its own low-level skill you've gotten unnervingly good at. You're 34. There's a long weekend at a lake house that belongs to somebody's parents, and for once, all 5 of you are actually in one place. Somebody's phone gets passed around with a photo from move-in week. Boxes stacked in a hallway, everyone squinting at whoever was holding the camera. And standing on that dock, it hits you that whatever separates you from the rest of them now isn't the kind of thing anyone could talk their way back across. It just sits there, permanent, in the boring way permanent things usually are. None of it came down to who worked harder or cared more about getting there. It came down to one decision that got 11 years worth of head start before anybody else even knew there was a race. Even if all 4 of them began tomorrow and matched every dollar you invest from here on, the numbers still wouldn't converge. Years that already happened aren't something you can go back and buy. You know the etiquette of this by heart now. You don't bring up figures. If someone asks what you make, you round down and change the subject fast. When the conversation drifts toward how expensive everything's gotten, you complain right along with everyone else, pitch to match the room. You've gotten disturbingly good at sounding stretched when you're not. It's not exactly dishonest. It's closer to leaving out the one detail that would change how the whole group sees you. Your net worth clears $350,000 that year. The group median is close to 0. 2 of them are technically underwater. You're standing 3 feet from people who knew you before any of this was real. And there's a fact about you now that none of them can see, and that you have no intention of showing them. Nobody puts this part in the fine print. The calculator only ever shows you the ending balance. It has nothing to say about what that balance quietly does to the people who knew you before there was a number to hide. You're 38 when Marcus calls. An actual call, not a text, which tells you the shape of it before he says a word. The boat's gone. A business partner left with most of the operating cash, and then his kid needed a procedure the insurance company spent 2 months arguing about before finally approving it. He needs $9,200, and you can hear, in the half second before the number comes out, exactly what it's costing him to ask. You say yes before he's even finished the sentence. No interest, no deadline, don't worry about it. You mean every part of that. You send it that evening, and afterward you sit in your car in the driveway for a minute, and what you feel isn't pride. It's something heavier, closer to guilt you can't quite justify. Because the guy everybody bet on, the one whose name always came up first in every version of that conversation, just had to call the quiet one to get through a rough spring. Nobody in that dorm hallway deserved this more or less than anyone else. The gap was never a judgment on any of you. It's just what happens to arithmetic that quietly starts running on one Thursday and doesn't check in with the rest of the group before it keeps going. You earn more now too, obviously, but income was never really the engine. Some part of you suspected as much back on that apartment floor at 23. The actual engine is a pile of index funds that doesn't clock in, doesn't take a day off, and doesn't care that you're currently standing at a lake house pretending grocery prices still stress you out. In an average year now, it produces more than your entire first year of paychecks combined. Marcus is going to spend the next few years climbing back to even. Even is exactly where the two of you stood together at 23. You haven't been anywhere near even in over a decade. You crossed into the stretch where the account grows faster than you could reasonably spend it, even if you tried. And the distance between his climb and your drift was never about who tried harder. It's just years that already happened, and there's no version of this where those years get handed back to him at any price. You're 42. On paper, the only place any of this ever technically shows up, you're wealthy. And you got there before every single person who was standing in that hallway during move-in week. Not one of them has ever seen the actual number. Making sure of that has taken real, ongoing effort for 2 decades running. Quit tomorrow and the balance keeps compounding at exactly the same pace, completely indifferent to the news. You haven't, not yet. Mostly because nobody tells you in advance how anticlimactic this stage actually is. There's no dinner where the 5 of you sit down and finally land on the same page about any of it. That's just not a scene that exists in real life. What you've got instead is a kind of calm most people never get to have. You can say no to something and walk away from it clean. No rehearsed excuse. No guilt trailing you home afterward. Almost nobody from that dorm hallway gets to feel that. And you gave something up for it. The plain, uncomplicated comfort of not being the one doing noticeably better than your own friends. That's gone now, and there's no single day you could point to where it left. Getting rich and getting distant weren't 2 separate things that happened to overlap. They were the same 18 years, just measured with 2 different rulers. Some Sundays you still drive past that old dorm building. Smaller than you remember it, repainted a color nobody there would have picked. You don't stop. You slow down for a second and then keep going, which, honestly, is the one move you've made consistently the entire time. That Venmo request is still sitting in your app somewhere. $22.50. Brunch. A small fossil from the last stretch of your life where 5 people split every bill exactly evenly without thinking twice about it. You never paid attention to that Thursday while it was happening. There was no ceremony to it. No reason it should have mattered more than any other night that year. But it turned out to be the only night, out of thousands, where you hit invest instead of just closing the tab. That's the whole story. Not talent. Not a better plan than anyone else had. One ordinary Thursday you almost let pass like every other one. And 18 years of interest that never once bothered to check if that was fair.